Let me ask you something you probably haven't dared to ask yourself in a long time. When was the last time you truly made a choice that was yours? Not a reaction, not a habit, not a compromise, but a choice raw, unfiltered, and terrifyingly honest. You wake up every morning and the world tells you who to be. You scroll, you like, you share, you perform. You wear masks so well, you've forgotten the shape of your own face. And yet, somewhere deep inside, there's a voice, a whisper, really asking, is this all there is? Is this really me? You're not alone in this. We all feel it. That gnawing sense that something is off, that we're living someone else's life, playing by rules we never agreed to. But what if I told you? The chains that bind you are invisible, and worse, they're self-imposed. Plato once described the human condition as a cave. We sit chained, watching shadows on the wall, mistaking them for reality. But what he didn't say, what he couldn't, sees that the chains are not forged by others, they're forged by us. Every time you silence your own doubts to fit in, every time you choose comfort over truth, every time you let fear decide for you, you build your own prison. Brick by brick, Sarah doesn't realize it, but she's living in a cage built from comparison, validation, and the desperate need to be seen. But here's the twist. The door is unlocked. She could walk out at any time, but she doesn't, because the world outside is terrifyingly uncertain. How many times have you chosen the comfort of your cage over the chaos of freedom? We are creatures of habit. We cling to the familiar, even when it suffocates us. We tell ourselves stories about who we are, what we want, what we're capable of. But most of these stories aren't even ours. They're inherited, absorbed, programmed. Think about it. How many of your beliefs are truly your own? How many of your dreams are borrowed from someone else? Nietzsche warned us about the dangers of certainty. He called it the death of the spirit. We crave answers, rules, formalize anything to avoid the terror of not knowing. But certainty is a drug. It numbs us, it makes us obedient. David's not lazy. He's addicted to certainty, to routine, to the illusion of safety. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more certain you are, the less alive you become. What if the only way to truly live is to embrace uncertainty? To step into the unknown, trembling, but awake. Children know this instinctively. They play, they explore, they risk. But somewhere along the way, we lose that courage. We trade wonder for security. But security is an illusion. The world is always changing. The ground beneath your feet is never as solid as you think. Machiavelli wrote that the crowd is fickle. But he missed something. The crowd is also tyrannical. We are social creatures. We crave belonging, but at what cost? Alex's story is your story. It's my story. It's the story of ease. Every human who's ever felt the sting of exclusion. But here's the twist. The crowd doesn't care about you. It cares about conformity. How much of your life have you sacrificed on the altar of acceptance? We are herd animals. We mirror, we mimic, we mold ourselves to fit. But every time you betray your own values to fit in, you lose a piece of yourself. And one day, you wake up and realize you don't know who you are anymore. We love the myth of the self-made man, the lone wolf, the rebel. But Bonhoeffer, the theologian who defied the Nazis, saw through this illusion. He wrote that freedom is not in isolation, but in relationship. We are shaped by others, by their love, their cruelty, their indifference. Maria learns that freedom isn't about cutting ties, it's about choosing which ties to keep. Who are you letting shape you? Are you choosing your influences, or are they choosing you? Even the greatest minds needed others. Iron sharpens iron. We grow through friction, through challenge, through connection. Plato said that desire is the root of all suffering. But what he didn't say is that desire is also the root of all creation. You want. You long for something more. But most of us never question where our desires come from. Tom's desires weren't his own. They were planted by advertising, by culture, by the expectations of others. What do you really want? Not what you've been told to want, not what you think you should want, but what your soul aches. For children know their desires. They create, they imagine, they dream. But as we grow, our desires are hijacked by parents, by teachers, by society. It's time to reclaim your desires, to ask yourself, honestly, what do I want when no one is watching? Here's the paradox. The more you chase freedom, the more you realize it's not about doing whatever you want. It's about knowing what you want and having the courage to pursue it, even when it costs you everything. Lila's freedom isn't glamorous. It's raw, it's painful, but it's real. Are you willing to pay the price of freedom? Freedom is not comfort. It's struggle, it's sacrifice. It's the willingness to let go of who you were, to become who you could be. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide, deny, or repress. You think you're free? Because you ignore your darkness. But true freedom means facing it. Eric's story is a warning. You cannot be free if you're at war with yourself. What parts of yourself have you locked away? What would happen if you set them free? We all have a shadow. The more you deny it, the more power it has over you. But when you face it, when you integrate, it too becomes whole in a world obsessed with likes, shares, and followers. The greatest act of rebellion is to be disliked. Alfred Adler, the psychologist, believed that the courage to be disliked is the foundation of true freedom. Priya learns that freedom isn't about being loved by everyone. It's about being true to yourself, even if it means standing alone. Do you have the courage to be disliked? Standing out is dangerous. It invites criticism, rejection, even hatred, but it's the only way to be free. Every philosopher, from Socrates to Nietzsche, has spoken of the need to die before you die, to let go of the old self, the masks, the roles, the stories you've outgrown. Cut to a story. An elderly man, Samuel, looks back on his life. He regrets the risks he didn't take, the words he didn't say, the love he didn't give. He realizes, too late. The only thing worse than dying is never having lived. Samuel's regret is a mirror. What are you waiting for? What would you do if you weren't afraid of letting go? Transformation is painful. It requires loss, grief, surrender. But it's the only path to freedom. This is not a self-help video. This is not a motivational speech. This is an invitation to wake up, to see the chains you forged, to question the stories you've inherited, to step into the terrifying, beautiful unknown. You are not as free as you think, but you could be. We live in an age obsessed with progress. Faster, better, more. But what if progress is just another cage? Mark's story is a warning. Progress without purpose is just motion. It's running on a treadmill, going nowhere. What are you moving towards? Is it your own destination or someone else's? Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop to ask, why am I doing this? Who am I becoming? In a world that never stops, stillness is an act of rebellion. Plato taught that wisdom begins in wonder. But wonder requires space, silence, stillness. Emily discovers that stillness is not emptiness. It's presence, it's awareness. It's the foundation of freedom. When was the last time you were truly still? Not distracted, not entertained, not productive, just present. We are obsessed with identity. We define ourselves by our jobs, our beliefs, our tribes. But identity is a double-edged sword. It gives us meaning, but it also limits us. James's story is a warning. You are not your job. You are not your beliefs. You are not your tribe. Who are you when everything else is stripped away? Identity is fluid. It's a story you tell yourself, but you can always write a new story. Freedom is terrifying because it means responsibility, Sartre said. We are condemned to be free. Every choice is a burden. Every path not taken is a loss. Leo's paralysis is the curse of freedom, but it's also its gift. There are no guarantees, no perfect choices, only the courage to choose and the wisdom to learn. We think freedom means no limits, but true freedom is found within limits. A river without banks is just a flood. Like life without boundaries is chaos. Anna learns that limits are not prisons, they are frames. They give shape to freedom. What limits have you chosen? Are they serving you or suffocating you? We run from pain. We numb, we distract, we escape. But suffering is a teacher, Nietzsche said. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find meaning in the suffering. Peter's suffering becomes his liberation. What if your pain is not a curse, but a calling? What if it's the key to your freedom? We avoid thinking about death, but death is the ultimate teacher. The Stoics practiced memento mori, remember you, will die not to depress themselves, but to wake up. Grace's story is a reminder. Life is short. Freedom is urgent. What would you do if you knew your time was running out? Section 18. The call to awakening. You are not as free as you think, but you could be. The chains are invisible, but they are real. They are made of fear, habit, certainty, conformity. But the key is in your hand. Wake up. Question everything. Dare to want what you truly want. Face your shadow. Embrace uncertainty. Choose your limits. Find meaning in your suffering. Remember your death, and above all, live. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of a vast, dark forest. Behind you is everything you know, routines, your comforts, your certainties. Ahead is the unknown. Most people will turn back. They will choose the safety of the familiar, the comfort of their chains, but just a few will step forward. Not because they are fearless, but because they are tired of living someone else's life.